I would say that most of my partners, well, I should say all of them now are people that I've either done some business with or have networked with them for a year plus before even considering doing something together.
Greetings, world builders. Welcome to Get Diversified, your go-to podcast for all things real estate investments.
I'm Jacqueline.
Melvin Landry. We're thrilled to embark on this wealth building journey with you.
Imagine this. What if your investments not only secure your future, but also unlock a life of financial freedom? That's what we're diving into on this show. Apartment buildings, storage facilities, mobile home parks, the whole shebang.
But here's the kicker. It's not just about investing. It's about crafting a legacy, building memories with your loved ones, and seizing every moment. Time is the currency of life. And let's be real, none of us wants to waste.
We've got the insights, experience, and dash of excitement to spice up your investing game. Plus, we'll throw in some real-life stories that'll make you see the potential in every brick and mortar.
Subscribe, buckle up, and get ready to turn your investments into the ticket to financial freedom. Together, we're not just building wealth, we're building the community of savvy investors. Let's get diversified.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Get Diversified. I'm your host today, Jacqueline Landry, and I have a very special guest, a friend and a partner, Brian Ortins. So welcome to the show, Brian.
Thanks for having me.
So Brian is a Massachusetts-based licensed real estate investor focused on investing in Massachusetts, Florida, as well as Ohio. So now, Brian, I know you do way more than that. So please take a few minutes to introduce yourself and give me some more color on that.
Yeah, thanks for the introduction. So that was short and sweet, but I'll give a little more context. So I've been full-time for a little over 10 years, started off as a licensed real estate agent, focused on investors, helped some investors build some rental portfolios, got into fix and flipping, have wholesaled, have done small multifamily, and as of 3 years ago, also have an entity that's doing larger, so 40 plus apartment buildings. We are in 3 states, but we are primarily focused in Massachusetts with our fix and flip business and also our wholesaling business. And we are currently just expanding into Cleveland, Ohio, where we think we'll end the year there with somewhere between 200 and 400 apartments within the first year. So that's the high level, and as well as in Massachusetts, are about 300 units in apartments right now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, that's a much better introduction to Brian Ortins, that's for sure. So Brian and I, we belong to some of the same mastermind groups. But what we're going to talk about today, so there's so much that Brian can talk about, as you heard from his introduction. But I want to talk about the types of partnerships, not relationships or partnerships, that you utilize, and definitely add some color in there and kind of talk about why. And let's start with that question.
Sure. Yeah, so what I realized early on as a real estate agent, I was limited to what I can do myself, right? So if I'm helping out clients, I'm not able to go be a project manager in the fix and flip business. I'm not able to just cold call sellers on the wholesale business and build out the systems to do large scale syndication. So every type of investment that I do, if it's fix and flip, I partner with a contractor. If it's wholesaling, I partner with a wholesaler and help him dispo the deals. I also partner with clients on the agency side to take down smaller deals in joint venture. And then the whole premise of syndication is really around partnerships, where now we're using an SEC registered investment vehicle to go out and raise capital to take down bigger deals. So every aspect of my business has some sort of a partnership built in. And that's how I was able to just not only scale, but just hedge the bet as well, where I'm not all in on one avenue. It allows me to scale into multiple avenues. Even going into Cleveland, I had to get partners that are boots on the ground, that already have properties there, that are going to help build out the property management platform. Going into Springfield, I partnered with an investor agent who's helping me flip out there and wholesale, building up some capital while I'm looking for larger apartments. And he's also a commercial broker, so he's sourcing a lot of these apartments for us. So every area that we go into has some sort of a partnership that allows us to move quickly in that market or with that asset type.
So I have a question.
Yes.
How do you find the right partner? Talk a
So
little
you
bit
don't
about
always,
that.
it doesn't always work out on the first deal. So I've learned that you have to take it a few deals. I have gone in heavy with partnerships that did not work. But the way I look at it is even if it doesn't work and you have a strong operating agreement, you can always dissolve it, right? So I've dissolved multiple partnerships and there are assets in the partnership. So you're able to at least exit with ideally your money back and hopefully something extra. The only times that I've had issues with, I guess, getting money back or taking a loss has been when we've tried business ventures. So I've gone into markets and did a construction company, did a property management business. So the business side of it's a little bit different than the asset side. So now we primarily focus on assets just so we have something in case the partnership fails.
Got it. Got it. So tell me about this, a little bit about the secret sauce you put into your operating agreements. Like, what have you learned and what are you putting in your operating agreements now as you form partnerships to keep you safe?
Yeah, the biggest thing that's always an issue with partnerships is just roles and responsibilities. I don't want to say that I'm perfect at it, but I feel like I always add something additional every time we start a new one. So like I just formed a new joint venture where I had a young wholesaler that came to me and said, "Hey, I want to start buying rental property. I'm doing a lot of wholesale, but I'd like to start keeping them." So I came in as the, I guess, the glue that put the deal together. So he's bringing the deals. I'm helping him evaluate the deals, go on the appointments, run the construction. And then I brought in an additional capital partner that brings in the debt and equity. And we're looking to do 100 to 200 units this year. And that was just simply someone came to me and said, "I want to do some deals." He brings under market deals. So just putting the pieces together, but having the roles and responsibilities of who's bringing the money, who's responsible for construction, and just if you spell that out early on, it's never perfect, but it tends to run a lot smoother when you have that spelled out versus just going in and, hey, we're all third partners, we're going to figure this out together.
Yeah. Do you put in your operating agreement what happens if there's a dispute and how you can exit, or do you not include that in your
We
operating
do,
agreement?
but yeah, it's really legal language that says if we can't come to an agreement, we'll have to go to a third party, non-represented attorney or arbitrator. So we do, knock on wood, haven't gotten that far. If there was a dispute, it generally, to me, means that the partnership is ending anyway. So it's more about just how do you divide the assets if it doesn't work out.
Got it. Okay, good. Well, that's good. So when I start doing joint ventures, I'll come to you for the operating
Sure.
agreement and for some guidance. So let's talk a little bit about this mindset of partnering versus doing it alone.
Yeah, I would say for me, and again, everyone thinks differently. So you can buy one. Let me take a step back. So I haven't been a W-2 employee, so it's a little different. So maybe if I was a W-2 employee, I probably would have just bought one deal a year with my tax return and just kind of scaled up that way. When I went all in on real estate, then I had to get creative to buy larger buildings. So scaling up to a few hundred units with no tax return is very challenging, or you're not getting favorable terms. So a lot of the partners that I bring on is more so for, I mean, now is maybe a little bit different, but in the past, I'd have to bring someone in for the to sign on the debt or key principal. I'd have to bring someone in to help raise capital or bring their own capital that they have from a retirement account or some other method. My active income has always been just rolled back into the business to do more flips, more wholesales, more marketing. So I've
Got
always
it.
just brought in more of a financial partner. And so I've always needed someone anyway. So to me, a partnership wasn't something I wanted to do, it was something I had to do to get going.
Got it. Got it. And yeah, some people will look at partnerships as like, well, then I have to split the pie with somebody else. And people may say, well, really, I don't want to do that. Well, then you can choose to do that or not. You just move a lot slower. I think that's one of the things that we learned in 2024 by doing it ourselves, right? So we went from 0 to 7 doors in 2023, and then we went from, 7 or 9 to 70 in 2024. But again, it was building those partnerships. And I think from a partnership perspective, the people that invested in our deals were people that believed in Jackie and Melvin, and believed in what we do in the opportunity zones, and we're on board with our mission. So those are my ACE people, my ACE investors that I know are going to be partners for a long term, for just a long term ride. Yeah, partnerships are super important, and I think as we continue to grow as an organization, the partnerships will continue to flourish. I know, Brian, we've been talking for a long time about wanting to partner up on something. I don't think the stars have aligned quite yet, but I think we're getting pretty close. So talk to us
Actually, I do
about.
want to touch on that really quickly.
Okay.
So one thing you just brought up that's a good point is maybe to add to what you asked me earlier, it's how long do you connect with people prior to joining in a partnership? That's probably a better question. So I would say that most of my partners, well, I should say all of them now are people that I've either done some business with or have networked with them for a year plus before even considering doing something together.
Yeah.
So it's not anyone that I've met recently. It's all coming from, and we're in the same mastermind. We have the same investor group, the same lenders. So it's really a small world when you get into the partnership side.
Yeah.
If you do it well, where you're meeting people and having conversations, and you can simply find out if it's a good fit just by asking, what is your mission? What is your vision? How do you operate this, or how do you do that? And you can quickly align or figure out if you do not align on how you operate. The key to it is operations, and someone has to take the lead on operations, and you have to be comfortable with that, whether it's you or the other person, that person is able to execute. Well, but that's a good point, is to bring up how long you should really be having these conversations prior to jumping into a partnership.
Yeah, for certain. I think another thing that I kind of like to see before I go in with somebody is, how do they act in the time of crisis? Because Brian, every time you see me, I'm like super, super excited and I'm like full of energy. But how does Jackie and Melvin act when, the shit hits the fan? Well, a little bit different, but it's a business, right? And are we action, or do we sit on the line and complain about it and don't move forward, or do we find another way, right? So I think that's pretty important too when talking about partnerships, because I've seen, all smiles and giggles, and then when things went down, it just wasn't nice, and I didn't like the way that the person handled theirself throughout the crisis.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
so that's a big one for me. I've almost like seen, what do you call those people with dual personalities come out of the woodworks, and I'm like, whoa, I didn't know that they had this other side of them. So let's talk a little bit about who is the right partner. And so you had mentioned a lot of different partners that you have. But why don't you hone in on maybe one of those partners and tell me a little bit about some characteristics of that partner that others should be looking at, for that particular type of partner?
Yeah, so getting back to, I guess my background might be a little bit different than someone who has a W-2, but I guess the best place to start would be attending your local real estate investor meetups. It could be even on Facebook, just being in investor groups and just watching who's answering questions, who's doing the things that you want to do, and then see if there's an opportunity to add value to that person. And I'll give you a great example. So I've been doing this for 10 plus years. I've realized that I don't know everything in this business. And I came across an investor who has been in the business for 30 years. I tried buying one of his portfolios probably about 2 years ago. Didn't work out. We ended up just staying in touch. It was a slow process. We connect maybe once a quarter. I found out that he, in addition to owning hundreds of units in Massachusetts, he also had gotten into the behavioral health space. So purchasing sober homes and different assets as well. And what I simply did was just help to find a property for him. So my partners and I had found a large parcel. It was actually two parcels, but they looked like one parcel with two oversized single families that were used as veterans housing prior. So they were vacant. We bought we put the parcel under contract, and I said, you know what? Let me call this gentleman, and let's see if he'll buy one of them. We'll buy one of them, and we'll figure out this business, and we can always ask him for some help if we get stuck. So short stories, I called him. He said, hey, let me buy one of them from you. I'll mentor you guys. Well, that turned into, now we're in the process of doing more homes. So we bought another sober home. We're in the process of opening up another business together in that space. And he's also the gentleman who I went into Cleveland with. So that, just staying in touch for over a year, I saw an opportunity, thought of him because that's his asset class, brought him in and brought it. He wasn't willing to partner. He was very much just trying to feel us out and see what we would do. But after that deal, we're now partnering with him in multiple fronts. So in
I
the
love that.
commercial space, in the multifamily, just in multiple ways. So it's really a long lead time. But again, it was someone that I looked up to and wanted to learn more from. So we just stayed in touch and I brought value. If I hadn't brought value, we probably never would have done a deal together.
You're reading my mind. So I was going to say, so you brought the deal to the fold. He brought the expertise to the fold. So it's super important that when you come into a partnership, what do you have to bring to the relationship? Because if it's zero, then
people are going to need you.
Yeah, people aren't going to need you, or they can find anybody, right? So that is super important. And I often think about partnerships when I meet people that have more than I do or that are more established than I am. I go, wow, well, what can I give to this relationship? Not a partnership yet, it's just a relationship, but what can I give? What do I think it is that they need? Because I know what I need from them, but if I can't provide something in return to them, then they're going to see no value in it. So that's been on my mind a lot lately, is I've been in some rooms that have made me feel uncomfortable. And when I say rooms that make me feel uncomfortable, 25, 30 million, $50 million net worth, that makes me feel a little uncomfortable because they've accomplished so much. So I'm always second guessing my value that I can bring to the relationship. And it's just gotten me thinking it could even be more than the knowledge. It could be something else that you can bring to the relationship. So that's been on my mind in the last week. I was in New York last week. So that's just been something that really has been top of mind with what can I provide. So it's all about partnerships, Brian. So what final word do you want to leave with the listeners on partnerships?
Yeah, I would say, again, attend your local meetups, find people online that are doing what you want to do. Definitely meet in person. It doesn't matter if they're in a different state. It doesn't matter where they are. I would say that it's probably going to be a 1-year time horizon before you move forward with anyone. And I would say try to find 5 people that you're trying to work with and just see who's a good fit. And they're going to see if you're a good fit. I would say patience is probably going to be something that no one wants to hear. We're doing this in July of 25. We're talking about potentially doing a deal in July of 26, right? With whoever you meet today. It's a long time horizon is what I would say. Again, you could always take a chance and do it sooner, but I found that the ones that were done sooner without vetting, they don't tend to work.
Yeah, fantastic. So if any of our viewers or listeners want to talk more with you directly, how do they find you, Brian?
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll just leave you guys with the best email for me. So it's Brian, BRIAN, at port-unity.com. And then you can find me on Facebook, Brian Ortins, or on Instagram, the OG Mind, and just reach out anytime.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, Brian. I appreciate your time, and I'm sure we'll be talking soon.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Jacqueline and Melvin, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to listen to this episode of Get Diversified. Please make sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on future episodes. Finally, stop by our website and follow us on social media. Ciao for now. Make it a great day, and we'll see you next time. And remember, get diversified.